The Perfect Facade. Standing in his 40th floor penthouse, where the city lights below looked like scattered diamonds on a velvet cloth, Nathan stared at his own reflection in the floor-to-ceiling glass. At 35, his life was the blueprint of the American dream. A high-ranking executive at a top-tier investment bank, a sprawling designer home, and a wife, Sarah, whose elegance and grace were the envy of their social circle. But tonight, the silence of the apartment felt suffocating. Sarah was sound asleep in the master suite, her breathing soft and rhythmic, but her phone, left forgotten on the marble coffee table, had just vibrated. A single notification illuminated the darkened room from a contact saved only as K. The message was short, cold, and precise. "I'm in the lobby. Come down for 5 minutes. Now." Nathan felt a sharp, icy chill settle in his chest. It was 1 in the morning. Who would summon a married woman to a building lobby in the dead of night? He picked up the phone, his fingers trembling slightly. The passcode was their wedding anniversary, a date he had always cherished as the foundation of his world. As the screen unlocked, he found the message thread, but there was no history. Every previous interaction had been meticulously wiped clean. Nathan moved to the window and pulled back the heavy curtain just an inch. Down on the street, parked illegally under the amber glow of a street lamp, was a battered, silver pickup truck. A man in a dark windbreaker leaned against the door, the cherry of his cigarette glowing intensely in the night air. He looked rugged, weathered, and dangerous, a stark, jarring contrast to the polished world Nathan and Sarah inhabited. The next morning, Nathan awoke with eyes bloodshot from a sleepless night, yet he maintained the mask of his everyday self. He watched Sarah prepare a gourmet breakfast, her movements fluid and practiced, and he saw her kiss their 5-year-old son, Leo, with a tenderness that seemed impossibly genuine. Everything was too perfect. At his office, instead of reviewing market projections, Nathan used his high-level clearance to access Sarah's personal financial history, a line he had never crossed in 7 years of marriage. What he saw on the screen made his blood run cold. For the past 2 years, on the 15th of every month, Sarah had transferred exactly $2,000 to a personal account held by a man named Julian Vance. The memos always read, "inventory payment," for her boutique. But Julian Vance wasn't a textile supplier or a designer. He was a ghost in the system, a man with no official business ties to Sarah's company, only a recurring appetite for her money. The poison of betrayal began to seep into Nathan's mind. He wondered if that monthly sum was the price of a lover's silence or the cost of a secret far more sinister. That evening, he returned home with a bouquet of peonies and a diamond necklace, a calculated move to test the woman he had worshipped for nearly a decade. As Sarah walked through the door, he wrapped his arms around her from behind, whispering how much he appreciated her hard work. Sarah smiled, that same radiant smile that had once been his anchor. But when Nathan casually dropped the name Julian Vance into a conversation about a supposed new banking client, he felt Sarah's body go rigid. She fumbled with her earring, her face in the vanity mirror turning pale for a fraction of a second before her composure snapped back into place. She dismissed the name with a hollow laugh, claiming he must have misheard, or perhaps it was just a low-level delivery driver she hadn't bothered to remember. Sarah's denial only fueled Nathan's resolve. The following Saturday, when she claimed she was heading out for a college reunion brunch, Nathan didn't argue. Instead, he waited 10 minutes, then followed her in a rented car she wouldn't recognize. Sarah didn't head toward the downtown bistro she had mentioned. Instead, she drove her luxury SUV toward the outskirts of the city, weaving through narrow roads that led to the old municipal cemetery. Nathan watched from a distance, hidden behind an ancient oak tree. As his wife stepped out with a bouquet of white lilies, she walked straight to a headstone in a secluded corner, a grave with no photo, only a name and dates partially obscured by moss. Sarah knelt, her shoulders shaking violently as she wept in the afternoon wind. Suddenly, the man in the dark windbreaker appeared from behind a row of cedars. It was the same man from the lobby. He stepped toward Sarah with an air of intimate familiarity and placed a heavy hand on her shoulder. Sarah didn't pull away. She leaned her head against his chest, allowing him to stroke her hair. Nathan stood paralyzed, his lungs burning as he struggled to breathe. He raised his binoculars to get a clear look at the stranger's face. A jolt of pure, unadulterated horror surged through him. The man, though older and rougher, possessed the same distinct hooded eyes and the same sharp, square jawline as Leo. The realization hit him like a physical blow. Nathan wasn't just a betrayed husband, he was a silent patron, a man who had spent 5 years nurturing a child, and a life that belonged to the man in the shadows. He understood now that his perfect home was built on a foundation of lies, and he was merely a supporting actor in Sarah's true life. As he watched them leave the cemetery in separate directions, Nathan sat in the dark of his car, the silence echoing with the roar of his own heartbeat. He knew that if he confronted her now, he would lose everything, his dignity, the boy he loved, and the empire he had built. He needed a different path, a cold, calculated response that would dismantle their lives as quietly as they had dismantled his. The perfect facade had cracked, and Nathan was ready to tear the rest of it down. Part 1.